Bless up, everyone. This is King Kevin reporting live from the Courage to Believe International's headquarters here in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, it's come to my attention that Elaine Thompson has recently won the 100 meters with a 10.61. Congratulations to her and Jamaica. Actually, the Jamaican women's team won first, second, and third place. That was very impressive. I know everyone was expecting Sherry and Price to actually win the 100, but she didn't. Or even Sha'Carri Richardson, who was knocked out due to a drug test failing, didn't get a chance to run. So we all wanted to see that happen, and we all wanted to see Sha'Carri Richardson possibly beat Flo Jo's record. Now, it's unfortunate that Elaine Thompson's great run in the Olympics has been tarnished, so to speak, because there's a big lie within the media of whether or not she beat Flo Jo's record. Now, they're saying that she beat Flo Jo's record. As a matter of fact, there's quite a few news companies reporting this. Now, you all know I've said plenty of times that the news companies, the media is run by Jewish families. All the big names from Fox News to CNN, you name it. You know, they have a narrative. They're going to run it. They're going to do whatever they can to push a certain narrative. And for some reason, I can get into these speculations later on why they are doing this, pushing this narrative that Flo Jo ran a 10.62, which was supposedly Flo Jo's record. For any of you who know anything about track and field, whoever ran track and field, like I did, middle school, high school, and college, I didn't run in the Olympics, but I'd been watching Olympics since elementary, since the days of, well, definitely not Jesse Owens. That was a bit way before my time, the Olympic champion. But back in the day, with Jeter, you have Michael Johnson, to name a couple names out there. There's quite a few legends within the whole track and field arena. Carl Lewis, another legendary person. Marion Jones. The names go on and on and on. But that's besides the point. Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBC News, New York Times, just to name a few, Associated Press as well, has all stated that Flo Jo record was beat by Elaine Thompson. And so it seems to be some sort of conspiracy on why they're pushing this narrative to tarnish Flo Jo's name. Now, Flo Jo, for those of you who don't know who Flo Jo is, she's the beautiful black queen that owned track and field for the past 33 years, 100 meters, and then the 200 meters. So the past 33 years, she has held that record since 1998 in the Olympics in Seoul, South Korea. Now, she was born in December 21st, 1959. She died September 21st, 1988. She's known as Flo Jo, Florence Dolores Griffin Joyner. Beautiful queen who actually wasn't just great on the track, she was also great off the track. She was a queen ahead of her time, some would say, especially her track time, because the times that she ran in track and field, to be honest, especially when it comes to the 200, forget about it. I don't think any woman would ever get that close. Maybe another, I would say 20 years, possibly, that a woman would beat her record. There's men to this day that can't beat that time. Countries like Norway, New Zealand, Turkey, just to name a few, who can't even touch that time, right? She ran in 1988, September 29th, actually days after her birthday. So she was probably on a birthday celebration, a birthday high, on her mind and spirit at the time. She ran in the finals, she ran a 21.34, which is a world record. And then before that, in the semifinals, she ran a 21.56. So she beat the world record, which was her record, and then beats it again. So that was phenomenal, 21.34. So right now we are in the 2021 Olympics in Tokyo. So the 200 meters will be taking place sometime soon. Now, the times in question, the 100 meters. She ran 10.49 in the quarterfinals in Indianapolis. This was the, to be qualified for Olympics, the Olympic trials. She ran a 10.49, which was a record that she beat that was previously 10.72. Now, the finals, she ran a 10.61. Okay, she ran a Texas one, but she ran a 10.49, quarterfinal. Then in semifinal, she ran a 10.70, as you can see here. Then in the final, she had a 10.61 with a headwind of 1.2. And then in CO, she comes in. She runs kind of sloppy qualifying heat, 10.88, and then quarterfinal, she ran a 10.62. And then semifinal, she ran a 10.7, and in the final, she ran a 10.54. I don't see nowhere on here, and this is by the way, the sources I've used was Olympics.com and also Wikipedia. This chart here you can see on Wikipedia. There's nowhere on here that you see that she actually that she ran in the finals anything above you have 10.61, 10.54. So if she did, if Lane Thompson or whoever else, they would have had to beat Flo Jo's final time, which was a 10.61 or 10.54. No one has beat that time. Now, Lane Thompson clocks in at 10.61, which means that she tied Flo Jo's Olympic record. But the actual world record is a 10.49, which still counts. No one has beaten that time, and no one has beaten her Olympic time. So I just wanted to let you guys fill you in on that aspect of it, because it truly bothers me that why would the media publish all of these lies that Flo Jo time was beat? Now, they already was trying to, the Olympic Committee was already trying to strip Flo Jo of her record, even though she died, several years ago. She died in 1998, my junior year. Actually, I was running track. Matter of fact, this was my senior year running track in football. She died football season. And, I graduated class of 99. And I remember leaving the football practice in the locker room, and the coaches knew me and a couple other players were dual athletes, ran track and football, or football and basketball. But one of the coaches personally came to me, Coach Jackson. I remember him telling me that Flo Jo had just died. And I was like, what? Because she was my hero. And if you want to be, use the politically correct term, shero, but she was my hero when it came to running track, because I knew what she was doing off the field for young kids and young girls. She had a camp where she would have a couple of dozen young ladies with celebrities. They would go camping and life skills, teach the girls how to become great women in the community, excel in school, give them clothes, scholarship money. I mean, she really did this out of her own pocket. So whenever someone does things like that, especially for our youth, because I was one of those troubled youth, I wish I would have had someone like Flo Jo in my life. So when people trying to tarnish her name or try to diminish her legacy, whether her family or her ex-husband or even me, I take offense to it. I'm going to defend that. That's what you do when you have a good name. People will defend your name even when you're gone, even when you're dead. It could be decades, centuries. If people respect and honor you, whether you were a good or evil person, unfortunately, some people still honor evil people. You have Napoleon still being celebrated in France. 200 years later, this guy was a racist and tyrant. People still celebrating Hitler. You know what I mean? But on the flip side, people still celebrating Mother Teresa. People still celebrating Martin Luther King. People still celebrating Chief General Toussaint Louverture of the Haitian Revolution. You know, or Jean-Jacques Dessalines, or King Henry Christophe. People are still celebrating these individuals. Queen Nzinga in the Congo, Angola, in Africa. You know, people celebrate greatness, whether it's, you know, the polarity of good or evil. People will celebrate greatness and will defend them. And unfortunately, you have news reporters. There's a reporter who said something about Flo Jo doing drugs, you know, during her career, and there's no evidence of it. Flo Jo passed several drug tests before and after the Olympics and throughout her career. She never failed a drug test. But because a woman who chose to believe in herself, defied the odds, beat the record, completely obliterated the record, eradicated the record that was, you know, someone had before her, they want to accuse her of doing drugs, right? But there's no evidence of it. So now the Olympic Committee, who was trying to take away Flo Jo's record, her husband, Al Joyner, actually, you know, was protesting against them stripping her of her record. Now, how can you strip a woman of her record and she can't even be alive to defend herself? That's not right. You know, that's highly immoral and unethical. They were literally going to do this. So it is my belief that they use this opportunity to push out there that Flo Jo ran in 10.62 in the finals, which is ridiculous. Of course, Elaine Thompson-Herah beat Flo Jo's quarterfinal time in CL of 10.62. That's quarterfinals. Or her semifinal time of 10.7. But she did not beat her final time in the Olympic trials of 10.49, obviously. Or even the final time of 10.61. Or even 10.54. You know what I mean? With the headwind of +3. So I want you guys to really think about this. There's so much opportunity for fake news when it comes to the internet. The news media can't be trusted completely. If you don't have someone on the front lines giving you the real story in different countries, you can't believe it. Because they're going to push whatever narrative they have in their little minds and and they're insulting you, actually, because they believe you're going to buy anything they put out there. Everything you put out there, you're going to believe it. They've been telling us for years that Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. For decades. All my life, literally. And I'm 41 years old today. Today is July 31st, 2020. Saturday. Beautiful day, by the way. And I couldn't even no longer watch the Olympics because I'm bothered by this news. But Haiti been projected as the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. Africa has been betrayed as the poorest country when it's actually a continent with 53, 54 plus countries. Labeled as dumb, stupid, ignorant, unintelligent, unmotivated, poor, but it's the richest continent with the richest countries in the world. Specifically, the Congo. The Congo is a country that has a very interesting, extremely interesting history. Dealing with King Leopold and some of the genocide that took place. King Leopold killed about 15, 20 million Africans in the Congo. But we never hear about him. We always hear about Hitler. We always hear about Hitler and everything evil about him. So if Hitler's the devil, King Leopold is the devil's father. You know why? Hitler killed about, what, 6 to 10 million Jews. Unfortunately, this was a horrific crime. Jewish people, non-black people. And I specifically said non-black people because King Leopold killed about anywhere between 15 to 20 million Africans. Some people say 10 million. He finally took down the statues in the Congo. He did this back in 1865. I'm sorry. He was the king of Belgium at 1865 to 1909. But what he was doing in the Congo, and by the way, he's the one that one of the people that benefited from the conference in Berlin that took place in about 1884, 85, in between that space. Immediately after, he was able to go to the Congo, take the Congo for himself, and put out there in the media that he's civilizing these uncivilized people who's already living, got their own government, they have their own culture, traditions, they're thriving in a rich country, they're flooded with rubber, which is really some liquid stuff, and gold, and they killed the Belgian came and literally annihilated God knows how many elephants for the ivory tusk. The ivory is used for jewelry, statues, little statues, ornaments, piano keys. Back in the day, they really used to use that stuff. But he was able for 10 years, literally annihilate a whole population. And it was making millions upon millions of dollars. This is around, the whole thing probably stopped around 1908. But for 10 years, he was able to do this. But he put out in the media that this was some sort of missionary operation. Everything is okay. People are loving it. They're happy. He made sure he took pictures of people happy. But he didn't take pictures of people's hands cut off. No, he didn't do that. All the people's hands getting cut off, mutilated. I mean, it's horrific. Hitler's propaganda machine, the guy named Dorival, something like that. This guy said if you keep telling a lie enough, people start to believe it that it's true. You tell a lie big enough and repeatedly, people start receiving lies as truth. But we never hear about King Leopold. All hear about Hitler. We never hear about the richness that's going on in Haiti. How flourishing the agriculture is there. But all we see is how they're poor. Because that's what the media wants us to believe. And what the media wants us to believe, that's what many people are just going to go ahead and run with. Right? And so now if they want us to believe and go with this narrative, go on with this narrative that Flo Jo ran a 10-6-2, which is complete baloney. Complete. I can't believe it. And people are actually going with this all the way. They believe it 100%. And the families that own the media, you got the Rothschilds, you have the Kissingers, Blackfin, you have Nathan Warburg, George Soros, who is the financier of Black Lives Matter. That's a whole nother subject. I'm going to leave that alone for now because that's not what this is about. But he was able to push a narrative behind Black Lives Matter to make you guys think that they're actually speaking to black people. They're speaking about really to white people. They're not saying Black Lives Matters to black people. If Black Lives Matters should be matter to white folks, but we really should be pointing that energy towards ourselves as well. Not just because police brutality, but what about brutality towards ourselves? So they make it look as if black on black crime is not even a real thing. It doesn't even happen. And I mention this because we host the annual Black on Black Crime Solutions panel, which is coming up again in 2021. This will be our 7th year doing it. We do have currently a GoFundMe for our nonprofit organization, which all these things are run through. The Rosie Pierre Creative Arts Center is something that we're pushing so that we can help the youth, so we can control the narrative and not allow the system to tell us what we should hold important or what is true. because our youth are told lies repeatedly. And I'm looking at social media and I see how many people are actually going for this lie as truth. That Flo Jo record was beat. I mean, it's you Google right now, you see the internet is flooded with Elaine Thompson defeating Flo Jo. It's like, this news has been syndicated through all these thousands of news stations around the world. The top ones I just mentioned to you earlier, right? Sports Illustrated, ESPN, NBC News, Associated Press, which is AP, the New York Times. I mean, I probably would go down a list of about 100 if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. And these Jewish families, Jewish names that I just mentioned to you, who shut down Nick Cannon when he stood up to say something against the injustice in America, they took his show away. What's the name of that show that Nick Cannon had? Wilding Out, right? They gave it back to him after he apologized. But had he not apologized, they would have took his show from him legally. You know what I'm saying? Took it from him, which he never really owned that show. So I hope you guys took notes on ownership. We have to own our own thing, own our own media. A young lady told me the other day that it's a shame that they're not promoting, the success of black women in the Olympics prior to the Olympics. You have the young lady from Japan and Haiti. I can't think of her name at this moment, but Simone Biles and who else? A few other ladies. That why aren't they promoting them on the major news networks? And I'll tell you why. You know what I'm saying? The Naomi Osaka, the Haitian and Japanese player. And I tell you why they don't promote them. It's none of our business they promote them. We should be promoting ourselves. Stop depending on other people to promote your own culture and your own heroes and sheroes. We need to stop doing that. We need to stop begging for support when we can support ourselves. Because if we keep going with the narrative that they keep giving us, we're going to keep falling for the okie doke. Seriously. This goes for President Obama fans as well. This whole time we are happy and proud, which you should be happy and proud. But that's it. We never demanded that President Obama do anything specifically for the black community. But he's saying he couldn't do it. 8 years as president, he couldn't do it. It wasn't until years after he was out, you don't have Trump, and now we got Joe Biden. Now people saying, wow, he really didn't do anything for the black community. All he did was be black. You know what I'm saying? Have a black wife. And that's all we needed. The imagery. You see, media is very powerful because the propaganda, the amount of lives it touches and influences, it controls our behavior to a degree. It is an opportunity to give a mass brainwashing, a brainwashing of the mass, so to speak. Psychologically, many of us don't think nothing of it. But once these narratives keep being pushed and pushed and pushed, we're going to believe it with all our heart and soul. And we're going to act on it with all our heart and soul. We're going to spend money the way they want us to do it based on what they put out there. White things spend millions of dollars for 59 seconds, not even 59 seconds, 50 seconds for Super Bowl commercials. It'll cost you literally $1 million, possibly $2 million for a commercial in doing the Super Bowl. These Jewish families they've been in business. The Rothschilds been running things since what? The 15th century, 16th century? They've been making money for a very long time. They own CBS, CNN, NBC, I just mentioned, Time, Smart Money, Los Angeles Times, Washington Times, USA Today, Financial Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Barron's. I mean, these are the barons. They own Forbes, Associated Press, Reuters. It goes on and on. It just does not stop. Which is cool. Get your money. I'm not anti-Semitic. I have a few Jewish friends. I had a few Jewish teachers. I've learned a lot about the culture. I even had a couple of Jewish clients. But does not mean that just because I have a couple of friends of a particular culture means that I'm going to alienate my own. We have done that far too long. And we're doing it right now in Haiti. Haiti is not the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. It's possibly the richest country in the whole Western Hemisphere. Haiti is flooded with iridium, which is the hardest metal in the world. Flooded with it. 1 ounce of iridium is $6,000. 1 ounce. Haiti has mountains of it. And the U.S. Marines and the Navy and the Air Force has been pulling it out from Haiti since God knows how long. The oil and gold found in Haiti back in around 2010, 11, right after the earthquake. They found all this right after, conveniently right after the earthquake, right? Which leads you to believe maybe that wasn't a natural earthquake. Maybe this was a man-made earthquake looking for the oil and gold in Haiti. Cap Haitien, northern part of Haiti, that's where a lot of the gold mines are. That's where gold was found. In the south, Port-au-Prince, around Port-au-Prince area, tons of oil is found. $40 billion worth was reported to be found. It's possibly billions of dollars worth of natural oil and minerals in Haiti. But they won't allow us to know that or to see that, because then you have to ask yourself, then why is the country being projected so poor and so much political corruption? It's because the godfather of white supremacy, Napoleon Bonaparte, who I'm going to make a production about pretty soon, really soon, he started a trend that Haiti is open for business. You can rob and pillage Haiti and get away with it. Because he's been doing that since, and this is recorded in letters from him to his generals in Haiti and back and forth. General Leclerc, his top general, his brother-in-law. They've been doing this for a very long time. Till this day, you will never see the beautiful parts of Haiti unless you actually search online and dig. They overflooded the Jewish media community. Let me correct myself. They flooded the news, the TVs, the print media, social media with so much negative things about Haiti. Even the Haitians are looking down upon themselves for some people, not proud Haitians like myself, African Haitians like myself. I've been to Haiti. Haiti is a gorgeous country. Beautiful food, beautiful people, beautiful men, beautiful women. The beaches, the water is beautiful. Some parts are definitely flooded with a lot of litter. That's because the civic duties in Haiti is not taken care of because of the corruption of the government, the puppet president that are put in place. That helps with the narrative. That helps foreigners come in and terrorize the country. The U.S. occupied the country in 1915, 1934, robbed the country of everything, $500,000 in gold, took it to New York, the Citibank. Citibank owes Haiti money. The United States owes Haiti money. France owes Haiti about $100-something billion. Forces them to pay reparations for their freedom because the slave owners from France lost money during the Haitian Revolution. So the Haitians were forced to pay them a indemnity tax of 150 million gold francs. Not money, gold francs. And then they reduced it to 90 million, but still they had to pay that high interest. And then they had to borrow. Haiti had to borrow money from France to pay France. Isn't it? See how much backward that is? Matter of fact, 14 countries today are still paying France $500 billion a year towards French treasury. I think this recently they made some policy changes towards that because of the height of the George Floyd situation. Back to Flo Jo, and I just wanted to kind of put that information out there. So a lot of you guys probably never heard of it, and you probably never will outside of my channel or my blogs at KevinDorival.com. But I also want to talk about other people who are supporting Flo Jo and defending her to this day outside of her husband, Al Joyner. And I'm not going to discuss who in her family I've been in communication with. But let's just say they appreciate me writing about Flo Jo in my book, Seven Types of Queens, King Desire. They really appreciate how I honored her in that book. Matter of fact, she's on the book's cover. So on top of that, so I feel very honored that I can say that. You know what I'm saying, that the family respects my grind. But there's a young lady, Holly Robinson, who defended Flo Jo of the accusations people were making about possibly she was doing drugs, yada yada. But Flo Jo passed all tests, and some reporter from Australia, I'm not even gonna say her name to give her props, but she went to put on Twitter about Flo Jo's hair and nails and made a comparison to her, Sha'Carri Richardson, and she has Sha'Carri Richardson hair and nails along, which are both fake hair and nails, by the way. But she's saying that Flo Jo's hair and nails were long as well, even though her hair and nails were natural. It's only long because of drug use, prolonged drug use, and she died because of prolonged drug use, which is ridiculous. And just for the record, I want to make sure people understand that Flo Jo died from an epileptic seizure 10 years after the Olympics, 10 years after she retired. And she tried to make a comeback in track and field, I want to say back in 90, I want to say 90, between 92 and 96. She tried to make a comeback, but, due to injuries, she just was like, let me just hang this up. You know what I mean? Let me stop and just focus on what I'm doing. And I really respect Holly Robinson for her support and defending her good friend Flo Jo. Holly Robinson is a beautiful actress. I don't know if she's still doing movies or not. But speaking of movies, I want to also mention, shout out to Tiffany Haddish and what she's doing for young kids, and getting them suitcases filled with clothes and shoes and school supplies. Suitcases now, not suitcase filled with all supplies to give out. Each child is getting a suitcase filled with goods because, those who don't know, Tiffany Haddish spent a lot of time in orphanages when she was young, always moving, as an orphan, always moving, been shipped from place to place. You can only imagine what she experienced, what she's seen, what she's been through. Because no one's going to love you like your mom and dad will. Which, for the most part, there's some people who would love, some moms and dads ain't worth nothing. I ain't going to lie to you. You know what I'm saying? Despicable degenerates. But I'm so blessed and lucky that my mom, Queen Rosette, that I was raised by a woman like her, and some other my friends' mom who were, great women. Some of their fathers were great fathers, but I didn't have my father. So I respect the Tiffany Haddish. She's also starring in the movie that she wrote regarding Flo Jo, which I thought was pretty awesome. She's doing this film, highlighting Flo Jo's life. And so you guys definitely be on the lookout for that, because I think it's going to be a great film. A lot of people are going to turn heads and show out to go and watch this film. I'm not sure what the name of it is, but it's in honor of Flo Jo. So I definitely want you guys to pay attention to the media. Stop going with what they're saying. Stop going with what the media wants us to believe, because what they want us to believe isn't always to our best interest. It isn't always something that is going to be for our benefit. It's usually for our detriment. You know what I mean? So you guys definitely be on the lookout for the movie about Flo Jo, Tiffany Haddish. Definitely look out for look out for my book, Seven Types of Queen King Desire. It's out now. You can get it from my website. Love the support. I definitely sign it. Go to KevinDorival.com. And it's unfortunate that the Olympics is being overshadowed, regarding Flo Jo's legacy, and Elaine Thompson ran a great race. She deserves. She ran a 10.61, which is fast, but it's not a 10.49, and it's definitely not a 10.54. You know what I mean? So anyway, you guys, be blessed, be encouraged, keep pushing, believe in yourself. The winner in the mirror.
King Kevin.